It's the original kitchen. It's the original space, but they've redone the kitchen tools and stuff. Yeah, but that is the original space. I was unclear on that.
From now on, 16 can get in. 16.
Less than 16. Bien estivaditas. Bien estivaditas.
Quick. Right, well, it would stop when.
Okay.
Now you will notice what I am pushing is the button saying laundry. Because we don't advertise that kitchen. Because the security people might say, oh, a kitchen, what's that? You know, they
Maybe
keep
we
watching.
can go and eat something
Now,
there.
don't have a heart attack. The cleaning equipment is going to welcome you. Because nothing is done for that kitchen. Okay. So you will see. There you are.
Voilà.
Garbage bin here. Laundry. And so here are the modern kitchen and things, and they don't want us to be walking around because it's the time when they are cleaning the floor and it's very slippery. This is the problem.
Pour faire attention au carton de match, ça fait glisser le moment de nettoyer.
I'm not insured for that. And it's so dark. Because I'm already at the sister who did on all fours. Careful. Okay. Right. So I'm not going to tell you many things because probably you already know. If you don't, you'll ask questions. But just outside, I pointed to the frame. You saw. Same stone as this. It's very old. It's granite. And our sisters saw that because it has not changed. It's beautiful granite. It comes from around here. It doesn't come from far away. Now, this is the place where they would do their cooking, and also a big fire, logwood would be done here. Then the big pots here. Because in France, until the 18th century, the way of cooking was by boiling water and then putting vegetables and things. Not much meat at the time, maybe sometimes pork, because it's easy to raise. Then they would have a big fire, to warm this room, and it was probably the only one which was heated. There was no radiators, no nothing elsewhere. Now, the ground here is the place where our sisters walked. It has not been changed. It even has some problems, humidity, which sometimes appears. They have done something there. You see that wood here, and an aluminum pipe to carry away this, but it doesn't work well. So, probably in this room, the sisters would be all day meeting, cooking, having some warmth, but I must say it was slightly bigger. You may notice this wall is newer. It was built in the 1940s. Now here, you may see that this is the wall, okay? Ancient wall, very thick. And it was one wall. There was no opening here. These stairs are modern. All these date back to the 1940s. When this wall was built, this door put here, and the entrance to the kitchen was that way. We can't go there. The people catering for the school, for the food, are in there. It's their pantry on the other side, so we can't go there. Now, so maybe 2 more meters, something like that. So it was slightly bigger. Now, the ceiling is what they could see. It's typical, it's a 17th French century ceiling. C'est typique du XVIIe siècle français. On en voit beaucoup comme ça. In Lyon, they are the same, and other places. Right. Now, what else could they see? So the chimney was there, the ground. Maybe this. This is a salt mill. It's very ancient. And people have these also in India, I am sure, because the sister told me. And in some part of Africa, it's used to grind cereals. At the time, it was for salt. See? And you would turn this, and there's an opening there, the seed would fall. But this one is broken, so you can't see it right. Now, because the room was heated, when you went to bed, where were the bedrooms? No bedrooms, a dormitory, but where, we don't know. So, because it was cold, people at the time used this. This kind of thing has been used in France since the 13th century, 1270, St. Louis may have seen this. This one is more modern because it's copper. The older one are brass, not copper. So what you would do, you put some embers, hot embers, it was carefully polished, went to the beds, and you know, between white sheets, you would do that to warm up the bed. Now later, the British, you know, they are matter-of-fact people. They said, this is dangerous, you might start a fire. And they invented the hot water bottle. It comes from Great Britain. Now, if someday you go to Paris, to the Cluny Museum, they keep there, it's a medieval, they keep one like this, but it is made of silver, and the holes here are fleur-de-lis. It is the one of Queen Marie Antoinette. When they were traveling from a place to another, she would carry this. Now then, these are the saucepans. See what people would do when they had this. The fire was there, you would put this on the fire, and it was smaller than the big pot. Okay. Thank God we're no longer cooking like that. But still. Now then, Eva, I'm going to demonstrate something fun. Would you mind, Eva, sit down on the armchair which is beside you? Yes, if you don't mind. People close it usually. So, what people would do, fill this with embers so it looks dirty. Then you would go to places. Knock. Hello, sister. Here is your private central heating.
Yes.
Okay. So until 1956, we were still using them because in the house we had about 10 very old sisters. We had central heating, but it didn't work well. The boiler was no good. So before we changed it, we still use that. Donc dans les années 1955-6, on les utilisait encore. On portait ça dans la chambre des sœurs aînées qui avaient froid. On portait les trucs pour se chauffer. And you know, it has little holes, so the heat is supposed to go. But if we did this nowadays, we would be charged with homicide. They would say that poisonous gas are coming up. That would be poisoning the systems. Je dis que si on faisait ça de nos jours, qu'on promène ça, et que les gaz, je ne sais pas quoi ça sort, on veut poisonner, et on les accuserait d'homicide, et il faudrait aller devant les tribunaux. Now this you may know, it's something which was in kitchens, even in the first part of the 20th century, because around here people didn't have running water. Même la première partie du 20e siècle, il n'y avait pas l'eau courante partout. So people at wells, ils avaient des puits, and they would fill that with water, and in your kitchen you could wash your hands, just your hands, because it's tiny, very small. Okay. Now this is rather modern because it's varnished. It must be end of 19th century. This is an older one. And this was used to keep food. Because at the time, you didn't have a lot of furniture. On n'a pas beaucoup de mobilier. So in that, they would put very often meat, if they had some, especially when people had killed a pig. They would kill a pig in November and get meat for the rest of the year, you see. So they would put it in layers of things, and with salt if they had any. So this is part of it. Now, the house sisters were also making lace and ribbons. Now I'll show you something. When they were making lace, sorry, I didn't bring I had no time to go and get the equipment. But imagine a sister is making lace here. On her lap, she would have the square thing you will see when you visit the places, which is called a pillow. And that lace is called pillow lace. And you have bobbins. You will see that, we will demonstrate. Now, because there was no electricity at the time, what people did, they had a small oil lamp here. In front of each person making lace, you had a round bottle filled with water. Usually 3 people were working here. So, you have your lace on your lap, and you need to see what you're doing on a small spot. The rest, no good. So the light from the lamp would go through the bottle, and as it did, it changed direction, and the ray of light would come right on your pillow. And so this tiny lamp would knit a pillow lace, or for 3 people, okay? And it doesn't take much room, doesn't cost much. And we know the sisters were working because at the time of the revolution, once from the town, the officials sent somebody to see what these people were doing, because somebody said there are sisters there. And the town didn't want any sisters, because at the time, sisters didn't work. They were like beggars, and the town was providing for them. So they said, we don't want that. So they, yes, sorry. So the people, the officials in town, they sent people who come this way to check what they were doing. When they came, we have a document. When they came, the sisters were making lace. They opened the door and said, oh, they work? Oh, thank you very much, sorry, it's a mistake. And they left. They didn't change anything, you see. So we know that they were doing things like that. We have another document.
That means that from the beginning, we didn't wear normal sisters.
Well, yes, because there were one sort of sisters. To have the name of sisters, you had to be enclosed. You see? Okay? Okay? Marie-Louise? You had to wait, be enclosed, bring a dowry, because the enclosed nun, they had to bring a dowry to be able to live for the rest of their lives. They were not allowed to go out, they had to stay indoors. And when Father Médaille founded us, and La Visitation Francis de Sales, what did they do? They wanted their sisters to go out, but they couldn't, because the church said, no sisters out. So the visitation sisters, who were founded to visit, they couldn't go visiting, they had to stay enclosed. And then we came along. There were other 2 congregations at the same time. We wanted to be different. We didn't want that. We didn't want to wear the long habit. We didn't want to stay indoors. We wanted to go visiting people. And that's why we were supposed to have troubles, because the sisters who were going out, they had no money. They were not rich. In convents, they were rich. You see, important ladies, noble people could go into convents. But here, if you had money, okay, but usually you didn't have much. So that was the difference, you see. Now, we also have an interesting document we have kept. Someday they will be exhibited. This one is after the revolution, 1790. They came to inquest about what these sisters were doing, how they were living. And when they left, in the yard, they saw that they had felled trees. Do you say felled trees?
Felled, yeah.
You know, they have okay. So 3 or 4 big trees were down. So they said, what are you doing? They said, we have nothing, no money to buy fuel, and we need wood to cook and warm our house. So they had felled the trees to do that. And last thing, which is the origin of Lyon congregations and all the other ones, after the revolution, our sisters in Le Puy could no longer come together as a convent. Why? because during the revolution, a whole regiment of soldiers was accommodated in the building. And so, these soldiers, of course, they were not very careful. For example, they were not rich either. They needed wood. So what did they do? The tabernacle in the chapel was made of wood. The benches were made of wood. They took all this to make fires and warm themselves. So, at the end of the revolution, when the sisters were allowed to go back to their place, they couldn't here. It was in a terrible state. Well, yes. And also remember, the revolution is not a demonstration for an afternoon in the street. It lasted 10 years. 10 years of revolution with a regiment in the building. Imagine. And so, when they were allowed to come back, it was later, they couldn't come. So there were about 50 groups of sisters around. They were not telling they were sisters, they might have had problems, but they were watching, trying to see what was happening here. But what they had to do was rebuild the place, redecorate the place. This is very easy if you have money, but they didn't. So it took many years. And in between, one of these sisters who was in Monistrol and Bath, who was Mother St. John Fombol, who founded your congregations, well, she was, I'm not going to tell you the story, but she was called to Saint-Étienne, where she organized another group from Saint-Étienne to Lyon, where it all started again, you see. But in fact, right, it is not true. Some people who don't know much think she founded something new. No, she didn't, because she went to Lyon with our constitutions, the Eucharistic letter, which was written for Sisters of the Tree, all our primitive documents. Right. So Mother St. John, who was the wonderful person you know, had these documents, and then she organized something new and went around the world and all that wonderful thing you know. Right. So, put in a nutshell, this is something. And I finish because I know you have free time now and this is precious. Now, the last thing I want to say is that, I'm sorry, I'm just rushing you a little bit. The last thing I want to say is, 6 sisters here at the origin, cooking, making lace, living very simply. They were not beggars, living very simply. Nowadays, let me look around me. This person coming from an Ojibwe tribe from Canada, people from the States, Mexico, Brazil, Argentina is not here, Brazil again, Madagascar, no, sorry, Mexico, so I know that, So, see that? So, 6 poor sisters doing their job peacefully without advertising. And see, nowadays you're all here. So, I mean, this to me, when I bring people here, it gives me courage. Because these sisters were not extraordinary sisters. They were ordinary people doing their job. So, my opinion, and if I am wrong, okay, I'll admit it, but my opinion is this is not human work, it's God's work. You see? And so, when we are crying, we're all elderly. 2 people have died in this house this morning. We keep dying. We're getting old. We have got no new sisters. Why should we worry? 6 sisters, the world is coming here. Isn't it the greatest hope we could have? I mean, you see, I forgot there's a part of Egypt and Lebanon.
Why do you worry about the conflict management program?
Well, that's no, this is a conflict. Here, no conflict. No, this is important for you to recognize that something peaceful is growing, and we're not making a big fuss. You don't see Sisters of St. Joseph in newspaper, on television all the time. This is not St. Joseph. It may happen if you save President Bush from being running over. Maybe you get an article. But you see, but I say this is wonderful, and I think we just go on doing what we have to do, the best we can, but don't be ambitious enough to do God's work. Okay? It's God's work, not ours. You're not going to say, okay, you come here, you have a vocation, be a sister of St. Joseph. No, it's not
That doesn't
our
exist.
Sorry.
Thank you.
And forgive me for being like that. First, this is me. And second, it's because I wanted you to see everything and to have enough free time. Now, take as many photos as you like, free of charge.
Thank you. That's good. And you know what? It's not just that each one is representing as just a different culture
Yes.
systems. But with Avila
Yes.
College, we are having another stage.
Sure.
And it's one woman, one man. It's not just women.
No.
So that is giving
we
us
get-
a different perspective
We get many men
of
here.
to
He
be
associates.
sisters. Yes, but that is different. When some associate is coming with you, but what about people that is not associate?
We are mainly from the schools. I mean, I don't I'm not a person who was a boss when I was young, so I don't do that. But you see, I think it's full of hope. Oh yes. Oh, that's interesting what you're saying, and I'll tell you a funny story. You see this here? It's just to refract the heat. I'm not sure of the word in English. When you make a big fire here, it might heat the wall, go through the chimney, and no heat for you. So this is here. Yes, it is wrought iron, and it says the heat here. But the question was, there are symbols on it. First, there is a crown. Then there are 2 coats of arms. Je sais pas comment on appelle ça en français, les armoiries. So, for a very long time, when people ask me, I said, I don't know, but maybe this was in a castle before, it was a gift, I wasn't sure. So when I'm not sure, books. So for a long time, I tried to find, I tried to find an explanation, and I got one. people, very often, they had these in their houses. Of course, noble people would have their coat of arms and everything, but ordinary people wanted to have this, it's called a fieback. They wanted to have these fiebacks adorned with beautiful things. So, at the time, it was the fashion. Now, there is a document dating back to the Revolution, 1793, when French people of the time, I wasn't one of them, became completely mad. And you know what they did? They shortened people by the hundreds. So that was very sad. Now, there was a special law or something which said, and I must tell you something, the revolution existed not because French people like to be on strike or whatever, no, because only poor people who were peasants at the time paid taxes. The clergy had no taxes, noble people no taxes, only poor people paid taxes. And you can imagine someday they became fed up with all of this and they started the revolution. So, one of the legal things they issued said, now people, because the clergy and noble people were, we no longer want them, they said, if in your house you have a fieback representing either religious things or things from the nobility power, so either religious power or civil power, if you have one of these, could you finish the sentence? Bring them to the town hall. Don't keep that in your house, bring it. Now maybe you can't, it's too heavy. Okay, so turn them round so people can't see that. If this is not a masterpiece of stupidity, I don't know what that is. Okay? But you know, when we get making a revolution, we become silly completely. So, do that. Turn them around so people can't see that. And I can't give you a bad idea because there is a priest or something religious on it. So, that's it. So I don't know, maybe someday we learn it comes from Versailles, but I doubt it. I doubt it. Right. And these there, oh, these two, they were used, I'll show you. Imagine you're making fire. This is a log. You have a big logs. So you would put them like that, okay? But gradually they would burn. So you would reduce this just to stop the logs from rolling there and burning people. So my example is not good, of course. This would be precious. Okay? This is all I can say. And the last thing, I saw one of you being watching up there. Don't look for the sky there. Because it's recent. In the 1980s, we had that stopped, blocked, what would you say? Blocked. Because regularly little birds would fall, hurt themselves and be there and die. So we no longer wanted that. And we were so happy because we had a bright idea. When I say we, it's not me, it's the leaders or somebody else. Okay, but I say we. So we said, wonderful. Result,
Tá tudo molhado.
Because there was a draft from here to behind you, there's a grid. And there was a permanent draft, and so it stopped. So a few years ago, when we asked building contractors what's the problem, they discovered it immediately. And that's why they built this. It should be efficient. Now, your opinion, is it or not? I don't know. It has been worse sometimes, but...
Thank you.
Voilà.
Well, you're welcome.
Thank you.
And I hope you will enjoy your afternoon. Oh, thank you for my umbrella, because I wish you a beautiful sunshine. Oh, sorry. Go first. I don't want you to get killed in that kitchen. On dirait pas, mais c'est dangereux ces escaliers. Parce qu'il y en a qui arrivent, ils sont tellement contents, ils oublient de regarder où ils mettent les pieds.
Ah.